Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. For anyone new, my name is Joe and I'm one half of Danni and Joe. If you're wondering where Danni is, Danni still has a real job as a nurse, which over the past couple of weeks has actually been really handy. Don't touch sanders when they're spinning. Ow, ow. This week, our long-term partners EcoFlow have sent us a new River Pro to review and test and just give them their honest opinion on it. Obviously, when a product's sent to you for free, it's hard not to be at least a little bit biased. I'll try and keep that in mind as we go through. I'll just try and give you some real life tests and usage that hopefully you might find useful if you're on the market for a new power bank. As you can probably imagine, I'm pretty excited to get this open. So inside the box we've got a manual or a quick start guide, box of bits. So we've got 3 cables, one from a car cigarette lighter, which goes into, I can't remember what terminal this is called. We've got an AC connector, which goes into like a traditional kettle plug, and that is a DC to DC to come out of the DC ports in here. So we've got 27% on it at the minute. We'll get it charged up properly in a second. Ports wise, we've got 3 USB-A's, a USB-C which is 100 watt. That's pretty high for a USB-C. That would charge directly into our MacBook. We've got some DC outputs here, which are the sort of cables here can come directly out, and a cigarette socket. And last but not least, we've got 3 AC outlets there. Inputs on the back are AC. This DC terminal you can use either with the supplied car charger. You can also get a separate which goes in from the solar panel, which I've already got one, but is available separately on their website. Now, if I'm being completely honest, I did wonder why there's so many power banks in EcoFlow's range, from the River Max, the River Pro, the Delta Pro. It's almost like car manufacturers when they sort of put a crossover or an SUV in between the range. You know, you've got like essentially an estate car at any height and any length. But after a bit of reading up, I think I've found where this thing sits in its place between van life, boat life, living off grid in general, or a backup for a house. First, I'll just cover the updates that apply to the entire EcoFlow range. They're moving everything over to LFP or Life PO4 batteries. It's what Tesla use. Essentially you get longer life, more charge cycles and everything. These will last 3,000 cycles until they're at 80% capacity, which for day-to-day use, that's around 10 years, which is just unheard of in the power bank industry. That applies to the River, the Delta, everything essentially. That applies to any of the 2 range, so River 2, Delta 2, all the way up through the sizes. Not only will they last longer, they're actually more stable and essentially safer than previous generations of battery technology in lithium. I've never been good at remembering figures. I'm just looking because I want to compare this to the Delta, which in my eyes, for semi-permanent van life or living on a boat or as a backup, I would be torn, if it was my own money, between buying this and the Delta 2. I'll tell you the main differences once I've googled the figures, because I'm crap at numbers. So the Delta, which I'd say is like the benchmark and the probably most popular in EcoFlow's range by the looks of things, has a 1 kilowatt hour capacity. This, the River 2 Pro, has 752 watt hours, so 0.75 kilowatt hours. So it's about a quarter less in terms of capacity. Now, price wise, this thing's about 750 quid. The Delta 2 is around 1100 or 1099. What you're paying for essentially is a little bit more storage on the Delta 2, but a much larger inverter. The Delta's got an 1800 watt inverter built in, pure sine wave. Now, if you're not gonna run too many 240 volt appliances, AC appliances, then this thing will power 800 watts forever, but thanks to X-Boost technology, this thing will actually peak at 1600 watts. So for intermittent use, I might test a few things out in a minute to see what it will actually take. I think this is probably better bang for your buck. Personally, we don't use much 240 volt on the boat at all. The coffee machine I'm just looking at springs to mind. Pretty much everything else is DC anyway. On the van, we're not even going to install an inverter. We're going to rely on probably this actually. I'd like to see what this will actually run in a second. 240 volt wires, but there's just nothing that we're really going to use. And by having that with the van, it's just going to speed things up on the wiring install up so much. Before I forget, these all come with a 5-year warranty as well, which for a battery-based product I think is great. Here's my coffee machine. I haven't cleaned because I wasn't expecting to put it on camera. How many watts is this? Drip trays full. It's going to go everywhere. Slow down. 1100 watts, 1.1 kilowatts. So theoretically, being 800 watts, peaking at 1600, this shouldn't be too much of a problem for this, even at 27% capacity battery. Water tank. Just clean my drip tray before thousands of people see it online. Moment of truth. Temperature's rising. It is only drawing just over 800 watts. Let's just come on to say that's brewing temperature. That will stay there. Now if I put steam on, it should put a bit of a higher wattage for it, I'd have thought. Fan's kicking in. I think it's steam lights. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's quite faint. Has it come on yet or not? Ah, just come on. Not really breaking a sweat to be fair, apart from the fan coming on. Just looking for the recharge time on this one. I know it's normally around an hour up to 80%. I'm just trying to see if I can find the actual figures. AC charging time, 940 watt max, and it will do 100% in 1.17 hours. I don't know how many minutes that is. I'm not trying to calculate that. So, no, I'm not sure if I'm able to directly compare with other brands. I don't know if the other brands get funny, but the orange ones, half the size of this, takes 7.5 hours to charge via AC, via wall as well. This takes just over an hour. It's also only £200 cheaper than this, and it's half the size. The one a little bit closer spec to this is a little larger with 1000 watt hours, which would put it near the Delta. It's the same price as the Delta. The life cycle is only 1000 cycles. This is 3000 cycles to 80% capacity. So technically it should last 3 times as long. Interesting. As with the rest of the River and Delta range, you can connect via the EcoFlow app. Just picked up that one, so we can add that. So you can monitor the available capacity, all the inputs, outputs, loads of different settings. I'm gonna make some breakfast and then head over to my parents where the van is and give it a decent test. So this is the EcoFlow 220 watt bifacial solar panel. I'll just use this to test once we've got a bit of sun. I don't know if you can see, but the sun's gone behind the bloody trees. The sun's really not playing ball. It is still February, to be fair. Just whilst I've got it here for size comparison, this is the River Pro we've used. River Max even. Not masses in it really. Obviously you get an extra AC socket. Rest is pretty similar, but you're basically paying for a larger battery bank and a bigger inverter. Since the sun isn't playing ball, I'm going to pop it on charge via mains. We're at 23% and the time is 1:20, taking in 800 watts. Says recharge time 56 minutes. So if I check back at 2 o'clock, I'll be about 40. We'll see how close it is. 87%. Just gone 2. Now if you'll excuse me for 5 minutes, just got to glue my niece's toy back together. Right, we're at 100%. Just looking at things I can use to push it to its max. Now I'm not too hopeful on this hot air gun because it's 1600 watts and that is the very limit of the very peak of that. It's worth a go though, isn't it? $700 watts on the lower speed, 800 watts on the higher. Not quite. It's hot. Because I don't think the fan's going as fast as it normally does. It says it'll run that for 45 minutes. Getting a little thirsty. See if we can make me a coffee. I'm just borrowing your coffee machine. Just borrowing your coffee machine. Do you want a coffee? No? Gonna overdose. How many watts is your machine? 1450 watts. That's a bonus. So after a quick blast on a hot air gun and a cup of coffee, we're down to 97%, which means I can make another 30 cups of coffee. That'd probably last my mum a day. Just gonna see what it'd run that I would use in a day-to-day, from my MacBook to charging power banks to printers and all sorts. Right, I'm gonna go laptop straight in from that nice 100 watt USB-C. 15 watts. That coffee's maybe a bit hot. Need to charge power bank. So one small thing, I would probably prefer more USB-Cs than USB-As, so I will go instead MacBook. From there, I can go 100 watt charger to my iPhone, USB-A to USB-C to charge my power bank. Charge my drone. USB A to USB C. This would be interesting. E-bike battery. It's nearly full already, but it should give us an idea. Camera batteries. You get the point, it will run tons of stuff all at the same time. I don't know what else I can throw at it really. If there's anything you think I should test in particular on this, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to add that into a future video on the van build or back on the boat. Apart from being a little bit short on USB-C outlets, the only other thing I can think of, which would be quite nice, if it come with a carry case direct from EcoFlow with it. I don't know if you can buy one separately online or anything. Also, if it came with the solar cable, I had that one that I used earlier already, but if it came with it for an extra 10 quid, I think that's a cable most people are going to use with this anyway. So I'd go as far as saying that this is the best power bank under £1,000 on sale at the minute. Let me know what you think. Leave me a comment if you've seen others that offer more power or more outlets or a better warranty. Honestly, I think you'd struggle. If you want to get your hands on one, make sure to use the link in our description or pinned comment. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week for some actual work on the van. Danni might be back, might she? I don't know. I never know anymore. Thanks for watching.